We're going to do some extracting of face sets and quad remeshing them in this one. So let me get a very basic mesh going here real quick. Sculpt mode using the voxel remeshers. So the way this is going to work out is we're going to do the face sets on a voxel sculpt. And then we're going to split it up with face sets. And we'll use that to quad remesh it using materials. So we'll see how this works out. This is probably the closest you can get to a ZBrush-like workflow using polygroups over there, but not exactly the same. So I'm just going to keep it really simple here. It's kind of a hit or miss thing sometimes with quad remesher as well. You can usually get it to work out okay. Not perfect maybe, but okay. So make a really basic shape like this. Let me smooth it down a bit. It's helpful if like you don't do too much detailed sculpting as well. The way this works is that while face sets in sculpt is really useful, like we can use the face set tool and we can get in here, create face sets like, right? We want to create new ones, we just click and that's it. Hold control to use one that we already have. We can just keep going with it, right? But a lot of times, if you have like way too much stuff going on, you're gonna be spending a lot of time working with face sets. If it's a lot denser, it's gonna be a little bit more tedious as well. Sometimes it has to be, sometimes it's better if it is, but it's just one of those things. You have to play around with this method a lot to kind of really fully appreciate like what you can do with it and what's gonna like be tedious and slow and everything else, depending on the model, right? So, but we can do this, and what's fun about the face set tool is we can take it. If we want to smooth these, we can. We can hold Shift and smooth them, right? We're going to do this a little bit different here in a second, which is a little bit more automated. I'm going to show you a little trick with it as well, but it's going to be basically the same thing. So similar anyways. But we need these face sets going. You turn the face set brush pressure sensitive size, so you can just bag one or two at a time. You don't have to do a whole batch of them. Straighten that out there. If there was a fill tool, that would be awesome, but there isn't. We don't have like a poly group it or whatever is in ZBrush that you draw the lines and create the face sets, but have our ability to draw, I guess. That's the easiest way to put it. All right. We'll see some fun things here in just a moment. So if we do this, right, and we increase the resolution, you might be on a different mesh. It's higher resolution, sure. Mesh filters smooth it maybe. Face sets are going to look something like this. What if we want to smooth all of our face sets out, right? We could still use the brush and try to do this. Fine. Maybe you want some detail like that. Who knows? But it's hard to work these areas out smooth. So that's where you're going to have problem number one. You do definitely want to touch them up. Okay. This is going to be pretty important. It's like doing pixel art almost. You got to make sure when you meet two or three of these face sets together, get a little junction point like that. We're going to actually mask these out. So the mask tool, we're going to turn pressure sensitive size on, turn it off for strength if you're using a graphics tablet. Alt E, switch it to dots. Now we should be able to just come in here, full strength, dot it, right? That's kind of like pin the vert basically, which is actually really cool. That's what we want to do on a lot of this. So pin the verts. And that's trick number one right there. Going to hold it in place. And so this is really good. We'll see how it works out here in a second. We'll leave some of these real rough too, so we see what happens to them. Just the one vertex though, not all the other ones. If you have curves already established and you like them, you can lock these in places where it makes the most sense anyway. Okay. Mesh filter has relaxed face sets. So if we click and drag to the right, it's very strong, right? If we don't have those pinned or masked out, it's going to round everything. Okay? So things like that happen. But we can do this on purpose here to here. Well, just the one though, right? to there. When we do this, we do things like that. Kind of cool, right? So you can do this through your whole model if you wanted to. It's just that setting up the face sets is kind of lengthy, right? But we can preserve that for the most part. And it does shift your geometry around a little bit, so do be careful with it. But for the most part, I think we got kind of what we want here. If anything is still really bad right here, for example, you might just take the face set tool and go in this area and just try to work it out a little bit more. You see how like the geometry starts going a little bit crazy though? That can happen. So what you might want to do is lock your face set boundaries, use the mesh filter, set it to smooth, and you can also smooth this way as well. Now watch what happens. It just kind of unravels a little bit in these areas. Like it smooths everything down. Oh, it doesn't unravel that, sorry. They're all locked up. But we might be able to do that. We might be able to use slide relax and hold shift. And if we all evenly distributed pretty well, so we'll be all right. I think we'll be okay with that. Usually the smooth will kind of relax that, the areas like that a little bit sometimes. All right, got all that done? Now, it's not got any materials on it or anything. We can see what's going on. This is pretty good. Make sure it's shaded smooth. Make sure there's no sharp edges and things like that. We don't want none of that. No auto smooth, none of that. Shade smooth. It'll cause problems with quad remesh later on. But in sculpt mode, hit the face set operators add-on. Okay, it's going to add this here. It's an extension, so look for face set operators. Set face sets to materials. It'll set them all as materials, right? Now, materials is what we use quad remesher with. So we can use materials, symmetry across X in this case. And you can adjust the settings a little bit to get different results. Sometimes you got to turn the quad counts up, turn them down, play around with the adaptivity, the adaptive size. And you may even turn it off sometimes. Try that, but use materials. So if we remesh this, it doesn't give you perfect results always, but we'll remesh it out here. And what I want to do is go to Z material preview. And we should have almost exact matching edges here. Okay. The only downside of this is occasionally quad remesher does something really goofy and messes it up a bit. Okay. So that could be something that happens to you. In our case, it just happened. So, but a lot of it turns out really well. So you might have to rework some areas manually, but you might also get away with doing a second remesh, and it might fix it. Don't ask me why. It's just that's how it works. Okay. A little bit better, but I wouldn't say it's perfect. And so double tapping the remesh sometimes works. Why? I don't know. It just does. Other times it might shift things around more. And you don't want it to do that necessarily, right? So not exactly the result there I want. Might be able to collapse these two together somehow and work it out. Something more like that. Might get a little bit of a distortion in the shading there, but it's okay. Now, so here's probably what's going to happen is more than likely you want to add a solidified to this. You want to break it apart. So you're creating panels or something maybe. So solidify, the solid view, Alt-Z. Don't use hard ops for this one, because hard ops tries to do even thickness, and usually that messes up. You try turning it off if you do, but something like this. We're going to do only rem, so that's going to disappear for a second. Because of that, now we can go into edit mode, hit P, separate by materials. Now we got a split. So from here, what you do is up to you. I mean, there's all kinds of things. You just keep modeling on it. If you want to do like some loop cuts, if it's got good quad topology and flow, you can add loop cuts. Otherwise, you might have to knife cut some things together. In this case, I'd probably knife this area for some reason. Still pretty rough anyways. But if you wanted to sculpt on this, you know, you can add a multi-res. You don't have any interior faces. Okay. But we could add a lot of detail to it now with the multi-res perhaps, or using hard surface alphas, things like that. If you want to just subdivide it, you can. When you subdivide it though, take note. Some of these corners might get a little bit swirly. So In our case, we pushed out, we get all these going like this. But if we had pushed in, it would have been a different result, right? So I think that would work okay there. Usually that's why I try to push out, but some tutorials and some videos, they show pushing in. And I thought we pushed in anyways, dude. Yeah, we did. All right, so that works, whatever. You can increase outer and inner as well, right? On those modifiers. Don't readjust all of them. Obviously, you can grab this one, and this one, and then just Control L, copy modifier. You don't have to keep doing that manually. Whatever's going on here, I'm not real sure. Turn these off in edit mode for a second. I think there's just double edges. I'm grabbing little edge loops there, alt clicking, alt shift clicking, and Control L or Control X. Little tiny discrepancy. Symmetry got, apparently. Still another one in there. I can't see it. I can't select it. I don't know. Yeah. And that is the trick for splits. Like that anyways. So pretty cool little technique overall. I think now that you know about it, you'll probably use it more if you have quad remesher. Copy that modifier. We don't want holes though. So any chance we can get rid of holes, do that. If this kind of stuff bothers you, you can always loop cut them tighter. The downside of that is you get kind of like a squared up edge. And when you use these loop cuts, and this one doesn't want to do a loop cut and slide. It's usually sliding, right? That's because it's something else going on somewhere. See these like cross over each other. That might be part of that reason, right? Doesn't like that. Just run that out to there. Now it should slide. If we hit E and F, make it even, so we can tighten them all up. Okay, and that'll help that area a little bit better. Once again, these might do that. You can also just use like the grab tool. What? Move it around a little bit. Maybe adjust it a little bit like that. We can, right? I think, no, you can't do two at a time. I was going to say, maybe you can do two at a time in edit mode. I'm tweaking both. Yeah. Perfect. Well, that one is anyways, not the rest of it, but I think you get the idea. This section here, obviously, we would want to do a different edge. Something more like that. And then this one here and here would probably meet, right? Merge it. And then dissolve that. Going to give us a rounded corner, whereas this one's not rounded. But we can make it round by pulling these in like that. Okay. Now we might want to just tweak it a bit. The curve here is also influenced by these ones. So we move these, and if this is a straight edge, it'll be okay. But if it's not, it might be a little bit problematic. But we can definitely move things around and kind of adjust them if needed. Fun fact here is that the Machine Tools add-on, the Surface Slide feature, this is like normal constraint in Max or Maya. It's basically going to shrink wrap it to itself. So you won't lose your curvature quite as fast by using this. It does preserve the volume. You don't have to create a separate object or anything. Now you can finish that out. And so this is how you do these kinds of tweaks. Like now from here, I'll leave everything else up to you. You can start trying to mimic workflows from like ZBrush or other things. And if it fails, you have to manually retop it. Just basically shrink wrap on top of it and do that whole shrink wrap workflow, but manual retopo is going to be in order for you at that point. So, and this one, I think we probably definitely should. This one as well. Feels like it needs to be a little point here. You can get kind of lazy with this or keep with it. We'll cut like that. Maybe grab these two faces and control exit so we get a little diamond shape. That'll be the same thing basically. GG twice, hold alt. Pull that one towards there maybe. Okay, so lots of little cool tricks. This one needs to be maybe just pulled in a little. Oh, I pulled out. And usually panels aren't perfect in real life, but if you ever have like a product viz you're doing or something and everything needs to be perfect, then take your time with this and do it exactly perfect, right? So you'll get something like that anyways. So that's the updated extraction method, if you would, or splitting method, I guess. I did a video on it before, but I think this one works out much better. So I'll see you in the next one. All right, take care.